I think it's been such a fabulous time being here. I think I've made a great choice and a great decision for myself. It has met all the expectations. What I had in mind before coming here is exactly delivered that. I think it's a great program for public servants and those that are not necessarily in the institution of the state. I think it's around matters relating to governance, policy making, and practicing, making it policy making, implementing it in a very seamless way. So it had all of that, and I'm quite excited about it. Yeah, time flew quite quickly. I can't believe I'm in the latter part of the program as it stands right now. I work for the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, and in the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, I'm actually overseeing the what we call Strategic Asset Development Division, which is mainly in charge of making sure that it prepares South African railways about future investments, railway extensions that ought to happen, because South Africa keeps on mushrooming, and therefore rail network ought to keep up with that. And we've seen huge number of people moving towards the cities, and it's my job as well to make sure that we respond and respond quite effectively and efficiently to facilitate that sort of movement. But I'm also tasked with the responsibility of modernizing the systems that are obviously there. It's my job to bring new rolling stock, new infrastructure to support South African Railways so that it forever remain relevant to South African citizens, and so that it does ensure that movements of people from their areas of residence and their areas of economic activities remain intact, remain efficient. And also, as we all know, is that the transport cost in this country is quite high. We don't want to have a situation where in some instances people spending 30-35% of their income on transport. So with rail, if achieving rail as an efficient and effective mode of transport, what it does is starting to make sure that people spend far less on their income in transport, for that matter. So yeah, that's basically what I do for the organization and for the country at large. It's been such as I've said earlier, it's been such a great learning for me. I mean, working with the grain as a starting point, where we say context does matter. Moving away from what we, just purely talking from a best practice. It's not sort of a cut and paste type of a thing that we have learned here. We have learned that you need to assess the moment quite intensely, so that you understand that context. So whatever you put in place, it's something that meets. It's sort of a fit for a purpose, and this is what the program has actually assisted me greatly in that. But also, I mean, just moving also further, we looking at how you solve the problem. Sometimes you get overwhelmed because there are many issues that are obviously there. This program actually teaches you, and that came through with MET teachings, where you unpack the problem. We call it a fishbone sort of analysis that comes through. So you look at different problems, but it may well be that you don't need to deal with all of them at a go. You deal with one, obviously, at a time. And that came very, very strongly. And I found that some of those teachings, I'm already, they didn't even have to wait for the end of the program for me. I'm already having implemented some of those practices in place. So in all respect, I do think that it's been such a great value add as it stands right now. Many men and women that work in the public service, I think this program it's a must-have. You ought to have it. It really empowers you. It really increases your knowledge base on how you undertake your work going forward. It broadens how you have looked at the things previously. So public servants, I will say that this is it. I don't think anything beats this that I've probably have came across. But also, most importantly, it also those that are not necessarily in the public service, be those especially non-profit organization, for instance, who then interact quite greatly with the state on many aspects. And especially when you look at again, working with the grain, because it teaches you how you can bring these groupings together. The state doesn't deliver its services on its own. It works with quite variety of people in the private sector, in non-profit organizations, and of course some of the pressure groups, and as it were. So those type of teachings will be very valuable for all these groupings, without really putting one over the other. I think it's such a fabulous program actually for everyone, and I will recommend it to anyone, my colleagues and everybody that I've probably come across. This would be the program to do actually. I think it's a must to have.